This is Motorsport Radio.
Hi, I'm Johan Zarco.
Hello, I'm Josh Elliott.
Hi, I'm Ben Curry.
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Hi, I'm Bradley Ray and I ride for Suzuki this year. This is Motorsport Radio.
It is the end of the season, pretty much, in terms of BSB, and we obviously can't forget, as we look back in a general sort of way, as to all the brilliant figures and wonderful people that have graced BSB paddocks over the years. Of course, we can't forget Mr. Keith Flint, who left us earlier in the season. This is the Superbike Show. It is Motorsport Radio. Hello and welcome. My name is Lester, and well, we have quite a lot to get through on today's programme because Liam Hodgins is here as well. Hello, good evening, Liam.
Good evening, Lester.
And we will be talking.
How are we?
Yeah, not too bad, I suppose. I'm here.
Good to hear.
Yeah. How are you?
I mean, I could be better. Ended up basically, half breaking my ankle a couple of days ago.
Oh, go on, tell me about that. No, sorry.
Oh, right, so basically I was just at work and my foot basically just slipped off a step and I went over and I just felt a crunch.
So Liam was pissed at work
over the years.
And he decided to go dancing to some Prodigy, and nobody noticed because that's the way he usually solids around work. So
that's it indeed, yeah.
So you smashed your ankle in 15 different places.
Oh yeah, it's a complete rebuild going on now. No, I'm kidding on. It basically just pulled a ligament and it's basically just broken a bit of bone off. So yeah, walking around in a moon boot at the moment, which is good fun. Not. To be honest, I did think if something like that was going to happen, it probably would have happened during your return out of a sabbatical on a mini bike. Because for those who don't know, Liam Hodgins used to race mini bikes when he was just a wee child, and he was given the opportunity by senior Minimoto champion of 2019, Bernie Hook, to get back on a bike, and this was his first foray. And myself and Dan Marr both put a bet on as to how quickly he would fall off or smash an ankle or seriously injure himself. Unfortunately, it didn't happen in front of the cameras, but he did it a couple of days later, as you heard, in work. So, yeah, it's not cool because I would love the story of going, I fell off a mini moto, high-sided myself through the air, landed on my ankle and snapped it. No, I've got to do work, don't I? And to be fair, I never broke anything or injured myself racing bikes. It was always like either falling out of a tree and snapping my collarbone or just falling over in PE and breaking my wrist there. Yeah, I'd never done anything cool. Just fell.
Oh.
Yeah. But it was great being back on a mini bike again, and I had a lot of fun doing that. First time in 12 years that I've ridden a mini moto, and yeah, it was a bit different to what I remember last time. And as we can see, very wet conditions for my first time in 12 years.
Very wet conditions was his excuse as to why he was. It was a timed session. This was the official practice session for the mini moto class and in Coolfab. That was one of the camera operators commentating.
Yeah, you.
But we thought that was the moment when he's going to high side off really what is. I mean, you'd feel really low down if you were sat at that height on a chair in someone's home. You'd feel kind of like you were sitting on a child's seat or a child's bike, wouldn't you? It's very, it's no bigger than a beanbag.
No, not at all. I mean, sitting down on it, since you're so close to the ground, you actually feel like you're going 100 miles an hour when you can get up to about 50, maybe 55 miles an hour on these bikes. And there goes, Samuel Munson powering past me made me feel really slow, which was a bit of a eye opener and made me feel absolutely horrible. But yeah, it was great fun. I loved it. I was offered to go out in the dry session on Saturday, but we had a job to do at Coolfab during the weekend, so I couldn't make it on time. So maybe another time. Maybe. It was
maybe
good
not.
fun. And you know what? You were talking about the physical effort, and yeah, within 2-3 minutes, I lost all feeling in my right arm. I think I got arm pump, which was weird. So
because your right arm is usually a good arm.
I was actually in my great arm, yeah, but since I wasn't used to using those muscles again, then I lost all feeling in my arm, but I loved every second of it, and I was only 10 seconds off the pace for a 10-minute session. So the first time in 12 years, in slick conditions, it wasn't dry or wet. I would say it's all right.
Yes, okay. 10 seconds. Well, to be honest, it wasn't. The only reason we wanted to get you out there is just to see, just for that social media moment, which you didn't give us, unfortunately.
You did catch on camera. I did lose the rear end and the front end, and I did save it just after Josh Birkin crashed at turn 6. So.
Yeah, but it wasn't spectacular though enough. I mean, you put that on YouTube, people are just going to be like, "What the hell? I'm reporting you for this." Report your account because this is clickbait, obviously. But anyway, hello and welcome. This is the Superbike Show, and we are going to talk about superbikes. Just a little bit of a sidetracked moment there. But we hopefully will be bringing in a other guest. Nice bit of English there, Lester, as well, because making his Superbike Show debut this evening. Michael Howarth has given way to someone called Tim Davis, and we're going to give him a ring now on the old Skype. And Tim Davis joins us right now via his wonderful kitchen, I believe. Hello, good evening, Tim.
Good evening, Lester and Liam. Good evening, everyone. You'll have to excuse the voice, I'm afraid. I've got the lurgy.
That's all right. You'll have to excuse our faces. Hello, Tim. Is a fantastic journalist, and he's recently come on board with Motorsport Radio to write about all things. All things really. You do like car racing, I hear, but we won't talk too much about that here. You do, I suppose, this year specialise in the BSB paddock and all things, especially in the support classes as well. So for those who don't know too much about you, Tim, just tell us what you've been writing on for Motorsport Radio and for other publications as well.
I've come over to yourselves and been covering the British Superbike Championship. And also, I've been covering the Superstock 1000 and 600, and also the Supersport and GP2 classes as well that support the British Superbikes.
Which we will get onto talking about, which is the reason why you're primarily here, Tim. Which is good to talk about some of these support classes. And Liam's been doing his homework as to the point standings and some in particular, some categories, some championships in particular. I'll ask you now before we get our first guest on, which we haven't even mentioned yet, but we do have a guest this evening. I'll ask you first of all, Liam, some of the support categories in BSB at Brands this weekend. Quite close.
Yeah, so we've got to start off with the Dickies British Junior Superstock Championship. Now, I said Superstock, I meant Supersport. 6 points.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know. I mean, a big moment in the sunshine, and I go and ruin it already. How did that happen? Yeah, Elliot Pinson and Cade Verwey. 6 points, covering them at the top of the standings. Tristan Finocchiaro, I believe, is, he's 71 points further back, so he's basically out of it. He is out of it. So it's only two people that can win the championship this weekend, Elliot Pinson and Cade, and that'll be a great battle all the way. And of course, for the Help Performance Motorstar Championship, Scott Ogden, Calvin Horseman, and Franco Bourne, all within a chance of wrapping that up. 30 points cover all three of them. Cameron Horseman is 12 points further back from Scott Ogden. And in that's the standard class, but in the real Moto 3 class is Brandon Pash and Joshua Watley, who have a chance of wrapping up that title, as well as Asher Durham. So there is 29 points covering them. Joshua Watley is 22 points off of Brandon Pash. So it's a lot to look forward to this weekend at the Brand Hatch finale, not just, of course, the British Superbike Championship.
Not just BSB, but some of the other categories as well, like Stock 600. and also the main attraction as well, BSB. And we have on the line now, you may have just heard him pick up the phone with a rather flamboyant hello. It is team owner of GR Motorsport and Team WD-40. This year it is Brent Gladwyn. Hello, good evening, Brent.
Good evening, guys. How are you?
We're very well, thank you very much. I should point...
I was just looking at the little bit of you riding around on the mini bike. It looked like a blatter to me, but that's just an old thing. But riding a mini bike or breaking your ankle at work, pole dancing, what's that all about?
Yeah, well, I got the heels out for the Tuesday night shift at work, and I went over there. No, I was kind of hoping that maybe yourself would be watching the video and maybe offer me a job for next year, but I don't know if that's the case.
Listen, the way you were turning the left-hand turn that you missed the apex 2 or 3 times on the trot, we've got to put you really back into kiddie school.
Yeah, that'll be it. Get the stabilisers back on my bike, and maybe the right-handers were okay, but left-handers I do need to work on a wee bit. So maybe with a bit of coaching, then I'll be okay.
Anyway,
there you go.
We're not here to talk about Liam's disastrous comeback on a mini moto. Well, it wasn't that disastrous, to be honest. It was only 10 seconds off the pace. But we're here to talk about you, Brent, and your team and your season, and how things are just a catch up, really. To be honest, we just thought we'd invite you on because we've actually not heard from you in quite a while on the show. So welcome back. I think you've been on before on the Superbike show, haven't you?
No, I haven't actually. Our riders have in the past, but because my face is made for radio and not radio with pictures, it's that old story. But we've had an indifferent season. We've had one of those seasons that's started well, and is finishing well with a little bit of in between on the Superbike. As everybody knows, we've got Claudio Corti, who, he's a friend of mine now. He's done the early part of the season. He showed the form of him and the bike. Sadly, in race 2 at Silverstone, he fell and broke the ball in his shoulder, and he's been fighting with that all year. Typical of a rider. They try to cover things up, and sometimes that's not a good way. Sometimes it's better to take a little bit of time out. But he's done an all right job for us, and he's also brought to the team quite a lot of experience that's helped out with the young riders. Then we go, so that's on the Team WD-40 Superbike, and of course we're one of the few teams that has the pleasure of running 2 titled sponsors, and we have the Stealth Connect Academy, which has always been aimed at bringing the youngsters through and hopefully into the Superbike. And this year we brought Emily Latti in from Finland on the Superstock 1000, and Storm Stacey on the Superstock 600, as Tim would know both of those guys from following it. And those guys have had a great season. Emily's had a couple of big crashes that have been quite well publicised across the world. And Storm's had the last couple of 3 races have been awesome. Emily, we met him, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, when he turned up at Assen on a Suzaki in the 600 class, and he had the fun and audacity when he won the race to unzip his leathers and have a Superman shirt on. And that kind of fun and laughter is part of the reason I go racing. So it's one of the reasons we contracted him for this year, and hopefully Brexit apart can move forward.
Oh, hey up, you mentioned it now.
Oh, listen, it's one of those things, because I'm a geriatric. I remember before. And I remember travelling around Europe when I raced.
But Brent, don't you know everything will be a disaster though for you?
I know.
All your employees will be gone. Everything.
Oh, well, at the moment I'm scurrying because I saved a lot of euros up, thinking that I was going to be in a right good position when I came to exchange them for pound. And of course, with all the nonsense that's happening with these guys, as you know, Billy Smart's circus is struggling for clowns now because they're all applying for jobs in Parliament. But that aside, the real reason I'm mentioning Brexit is we genuinely don't know what is going to happen with work permits, whether the guys will need one, because when we had Tommy Aquino and some of the guys, we've got Australians and Japanese have been here and New Zealanders. We have to get a visa for them to compete.
It might be the same.
Because, and it might be the same. That's correct. It might be the same. So we're just waiting to find out. Storm Stacey is from just the other side of the M6, so I don't know if we're going to need a visa for that, but I hope not. So we already know what we're going to do with Storm after this weekend.
Well, that was one of the next questions that we're coming on to be honest.
Go on then.
Well, okay.
Ask the questions, and if I can honestly answer, I will.
All right, then. What are you doing for next year? Who's staying? Who's going?
At the moment, because of the Brexit situation, we want to keep the lineup we have, but we're just waiting to see how that pans out. Luckily for me, all work permits in the UK are actually done in my hometown of Sheffield, and so we understand a little bit about how it happens, and in the past we have helped quite a few teams in securing visas and things for different riders. But at the moment it's so unclear, we don't know, but we do have bit of luxury of time after this weekend for that. There is a couple of other young riders that we may add to the stable as well, but again, that's just future planning. I think that the main thing that at the end of this weekend, win, lose or draw, and Storm has a mathematical chance of winning the championship, but that would be at somebody else's demise, and you know, we all want to race fair, really. So if luck plays into our hands and Storm carries on the form that he's had over the last few races, then maybe the championship won't go to New Zealand. But no matter what happens at the end of this weekend, it will be Storm's last ride on the 600, and we intend to move him to 1,000.
Well, he has progressed quite a lot just in the last year, especially he's been getting a lot of attention from his Donington heroics as well, hasn't he?
Well, to be fair, I mean, Storm's gone through quite a lot in life, and it's created a young man who's something a little bit different, and something a little bit different is a good thing. And the fact that at Donington Park he actually lives about an hour and a half away, and there's nobody else that I can suggest in racing. I may be proved wrong, but he lives an hour and a half away, and his mum said, right, I'm off to the track in this lovely camper. Do you want to sit in there and put your headphones on and listen to the music? Or do you want to get on your 50cc moped and ride an hour and a half to the track in this weather? But of course, then you'll have to ride it an hour and a half back. And as a few people have seen on Facebook, he's that enjoying motorcycling that he chose the latter. And it was funny to do what he did, coming from last to second in that fantastic race. He put his high vis on and his haversack and jumped on a 50cc motorbike and rode the damn thing home. So it's
I think I did see.
Sorry,
I think I did see that on. It was I think on his Facebook or somewhere like that. On he literally jumped on that little sort of scooter type thing, and I didn't realise that's where he was going back home. But wow. So what enthralls him, remembering that quite a few people in my team are geriatric. You know, when I was 16, I had a fizzy, and I did 10,000 miles on the thing. I loved it, rode everywhere, and many people had those bikes, and that's why the motorcycling generation is what it is. Most of the guys, young guys in racing today, have come up through Cool Fab and the mini bikes, etc., but they don't actually have the love of riding bikes other than the competition of riding bikes, which is still a love, obviously. And Storm has got that. He just wants to be on something with two wheels having fun. So we love that aspect of it.
Well, that's entirely fair enough, and it'd be fantastic to see him move up with the team to thousands next year. Couple of questions, not just from myself, but also I'll just ask you one more, and then we'll move on to I think Liam's got some, and Tim as a couple, if you don't mind hanging on a bit longer. But your personal highlights so far from the season, Brent.
The personal highlights. The beginning of the season, the Spanish BSB test, the Spanish and Portuguese test, was fantastic with shorts, corti. So corti in Italian translates in English to shorts, hence the nickname. The early part of the season. He's on there shouting. Hang on a minute. Where are you? Yeah, he's naked. Hi, everyone.
Okay.
We've got Claudio on the show now.
I think Claudio's got that sort of voice where we all like to sort of do impressions of Claudio, I think. So he's a very
he's just getting ready, and he's just getting ready for his training in the campus. So there we go. That's why Claudio was saying hello there.
Oh, fair enough. There you go. Spain pre-season for you.
Back to the highlights. The early part of the season was really good. Picking up the shoulder injury early was a real downer for everybody, because it just sent everything backwards. Then the recovery is always good, but then Emily kind of took over the mantle, if you like, and he started to put together some great early results. And then at the end there, all three of them are starting to put the seasons back together. And as everybody knows, it's the end of the season that everybody remembers. So the highlight of the season for me was Storm's first win at Alton Park, because we, the team, the way he works with Jeff and Gary and Mark and everybody, we, the team, knew what he was capable of. But it was a little bit like Nigel Mansell, who did 105 F1 Grand Prix, won his first one at Brands Hatch European, and then won the next 9. And Storm, anybody who knows him, he's full of confidence. Once he got that result, we've then jumped forward. But that first race, anybody who's seen it, if anybody has been in our pit box, it was more like a football match, the way we were cheering and shouting.
Yep.
So that was it was pure highlight, the way that it was such a fantastic race and fight between those guys. And in a lot of ways, it was the race of the weekend, because for such young fellas with not so much experience, they had a fantastic race, and they weren't banging and barging. The passes were stunning by all 4 of them, and we came out on top. So it was just awesome.
It definitely was. It was memorable. Certainly one of the highlights of the season. I certainly remember following it as well, and your team's efforts this year as well, Brent, has been streamed via the Swinton Insurance, one of your sponsors, on their Facebook page. I know this because it's
obviously you guys do that job for them.
Well, Motorsport Media's Dan Marr is usually mooching about and trying not to get in the way of things. But yeah, it's been fantastic to sort of be behind the scenes, so to speak, and just see.
Well, it's interesting having Dan around, because as you know, when he first joined us at the beginning of the year, he was a little bit timid, and then as the years moved along, he's in there, and it's quite funny sometimes. He's commentating to himself as we're all watching television, so it's really good, because he's become a strange part of the team. But as you mentioned, highlights, what nobody really understands who stand on the banks and watch BSB and watch it on TV is the amount of hard work and graft we do with our partners.
Yeah.
So we do the 13 BSB races, actually, because there's 12 races of the championship. And then, as Tim understands, the stock races usually do a support race at World's, whether World Superbike or something. So we actually do 13 events. But then separate to that, we do probably another 12 or 13 events for our partners. So, with Swinton, as you know, they're giving away that little Team WD-40 ZX 400. So we've been quite a few places with that, with WD-40 and Scania and Stouff. We've been to all sorts of places, from the blooming seaside to a quarry pit, the NEC. So we do an awful lot of work, as do the other teams.
Yeah.
And that's about the promotion of the sponsor and their product to enable them to give money to the teams to then go racing and entertain the crowd. So there's quite a lot of different highlights.
It is often forgotten about as well, from, like you say, the marketing side of things that teams do, and teams are often end up doing some surreal things, like you say. I mean, I won't go into half of the things, but it's interesting, and it's something I think that the fans don't necessarily take into full account when they see them when you see you guys racing on the weekend. You might have just had a full week of doing some 3 different events at 3 random places and like a village event or something like that for sponsors or to raise sponsorship or something. It's I find it all interesting to keep track of, and of course you're quite prominent on your LinkedIn profile as well, just keeping the name going and the promotion and that side of things, and you're quite hot on the marketing side of things.
Well, this coming into 2020, it's our my 25th year of owning the team. So we've been racing for 25 years, and it's 20 years ago since we won the first ever European Super Stock Championship with Carl Harris. We were involved with R&G Racing, or we're still involved with at the start 20 years ago. But the marketing side of things is, the fans that we have, it's really interesting, the fact that a car buying person who is also a motorcycling person, if you say to the car person, what tyres have you got on your Mercedes, he won't have a clue. If you ask him what spark plug is in his LC350, and not only will he say NGK, but he'll tell you what it is. Yeah. And yet it's the same person. So subsequently, that person is a brilliant person to advertise your product to, because our fans, the BSB fans, are so discerning. If they ride a Kawasaki to the track, they will still support a BMW rider. It's not tribal like other sports. So the marketing side, and you're right, Lester, we have done some crazy things. We've done the Lincolnshire show for the last couple of 3 years with Scania. So we put a Superbike on the back of a Scania truck, and we've been to EICMA, the Italian motorcycle show. We've been down a quarry pit with Stouff. It's quite impressive, some of the things we do. And in the past, as you've seen on LinkedIn, we've brought to the paddock NVIDIA and Intel and all sorts of real great companies who value our fans. And so it's important to work hard. And then, of course, when we put a team together, there's no I in team, but the rider is the focal point of a team. So he's the guy. They never wheel out the girl who makes the tea or the sandwiches at night to collect the trophy. But all of the guys in anybody's team in BSB, whether it's the real lower classes, just dad and lad, and in the same way down in Confab or teams like ours or Paul Bird's team, every member of the team is there for competition. And it's I'll tell you where we live. We live in a square mile of egos. So it's a great place to be.
Well, there's a good chance to steer the conversation back to the racing, since you mentioned about egos and stuff. Liam has I'm sure, some interesting questions that he's been sitting on while I've been hogging all the conversation. Sorry about that. But if you don't mind.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I can translate for you if his accent's a bit, don't worry about that. But take it away, Liam.
Come on. Well, I thought I was never going to get the mic here. Brent, great having you on the show. You've been such a good team principal of nurturing young talent over the years. You've got Storm Stacey this year, who has really just come back into the forefront of people's attention. What's been your thinking about just bringing up young talent that maybe some people might not have put as much effort into? Why have you done that over the years?
Shall I answer it honestly, or shall I tell you a load of shit?
I want the honest one, but if you want to give us that one, on you go.
Well, the honest truth, anybody who knows me knows where I came from and the background I came from. And, my own racing career started when a local magistrate took pity on society and banned me off the road. And motorcycling has been, throughout my life, particularly nice to me. It's a passion. It created a business away from motorcycling today, so the stuff I do away. And generally speaking, if you go into the motor car paddock, it's generally rich dads with spoilt lads. And in our paddock, it's usually talented people with no direction. And as they come through, I had a brilliant conversation with Shaky Byrne a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about an old TZ500, something that you guys might not remember. And he said to me, he just said, "Oh, Brent, I remembered when I was going to sign for your team and I got the jitters over the Pirelli tyres." And when you look at all these things with the young lads, whether it's Joe Francis or at the moment Storm Stacey or Carl Harris or JT or any of these guys, there's something in there. And I think you can't teach competition, but what you can teach is how to hone that. And then there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance, and if you can show them how to be confident, then hopefully the crowd love them too. And so with Storm, Storm's not just appeared on the scene, he's been around quite a while, and he's got a bit of a naughty boy reputation, but he's been through some traumas that we wouldn't wish on anybody. But last year he finished third in the Moto 3 Championship. Remember, we won the first Moto 3 Championship. We won that with Joe Francis, who we helped for a few years, and Joe's now in Superbike. And the guy we beat in 2013 was Tyrone McKenzie, and he joined us for 3 years and won the Super Sport Championship with us and nearly won the Stock 600. And it's, if you look at Taz now where he is, what a brilliant thing. You walk down the paddock and go, "Hey, kid, how are you?" Or he'll run up and give Claire a kiss on the cheek. It's what a great thing. Sometimes it doesn't work. That's all there is to it. And we get a lot of pleasure out of it. There's a cost side to it, and the cost side is that if you have a great sponsor who's piling in a lot of money, they want the sexual gratification of a name who they think could win, and so that has its inherent costs. If you take on a youngster, the downside to that is nobody knows them or can believe in them, so they don't want to give you the same amount of money, and the costs are more because guess what, young kids crash, and it takes an awful lot to try to get them there. So it's great with Storm at the moment, but there's been 25 years, there's been quite a few, so it's good fun is the answer.
there's a lot of people in the paddock that have got to be very thankful to you for giving them the opportunity. Now, I want to know, you've been around the paddock for a long time, you've been in European Championships. Who has been the most impressive person you've ever worked with? I know there's going to be a lot of them, but who really sticks out in your mind?
What there is when you ask about impressive is different parts, because to make somebody, there's a lot of things that you have to have that come together in the sandwich. And some people are really, really good at certain bits but don't have the other bit. And, you know, at the moment, in the guys that I currently have, if I look at Claudio, you know, Claudio has got all the package there, and he came here middle part of last year to learn a bit, and this year he came with all the professionalism of MotoGP and everything, with a job to do. And sadly, his head went down when he broke his shoulder. He's got everything. He's only 31 years old. He's got everything. He's just not got there. Emily Latte, we're just talking about the guys that I'm with at the moment, and then I'll talk about the others. Emily Latte, he travels from Finland to the UK every race. He has to get on 2 or 3 aeroplanes to get here. He travels on his own. He comes from the corner. I rang him up one day and I said, blah, blah, blah. He said, Brent, can I ring you back? Yeah, what's the matter? Oh, I'm just changing the wheel on my car. Oh, well, hurry up then, ring me back. He said, well, it's going to take me a while. I said, what? Change a wheel on an Audi? He said, yeah, it's minus 20. Wow. And then you've got Storm, who's a naughty boy, but brilliant. So then when I go back and look at Dean Thomas, what a rider, Australian lad, came to us, and we used to take him out in Sheffield, and if we lost him, we looked on the dance floor and all you'd see is his blonde bouncy hair, and he went into World Championships. Carl Muggeridge became world champion, and there's been Carl Harris. What an incredibly talented rider, but he got a nature like me. He was born in October. We're all of the same lunatic nature, but what an incredible talent to do what he did. And he struggled to read and write, and I'm not being horrible to the lad. So there's many, and even some that haven't made it are still friends with us, and it's funny that they might not have made it at motorcycling, but some of the things they learnt from the structure and bits, they've taken it to other things and actually become successful at whatever they've chosen. So it's kind of hard to just say it's him, he's the one, because there isn't one. And if each year we pass that book, like at the moment, Scott Redding's made me eat at least 14 straw hats because he came here and I went, yeah, right. And obviously I don't eat steak and chips anymore, I just eat my hat. Like a lot of people, he's done what he's done incredibly. And it's Shaky Byrne. I didn't work with Shaky, and sadly I didn't. But he did the stuff he's done. So it is difficult. And there are, as we know, in all sports and all ways of life, there's just some complete knobbers. But that's how life is. So if I had to say who was the one, being as though it's 20 years since we won the European Championship, it was always a lunatic pleasure to work with Carl Harris.
He sadly missed Carl Bomber Harris. Fantastic talent, and yeah, one that we still remember him flying over the mountain section at Cadwell Park, about 100 metres in the air. That looked like, but yeah, it must have been an absolute pleasure to work with Carl Harris. I'll hand you over to Tim because I can see that he's ready and waiting to ask you a couple of questions as well.
Go on.
Hi, Brent.
Hi, Tim.
How are you? So, obviously, Storm is with a chance of the championship this weekend. Have you spoken to him this week so far? How's he feeling?
Yeah, he arrived early. We were here yesterday, set up quite early, ready, and he's arrived this afternoon. He's suffering a little bit because he's woke up with the runs. I could describe it a different way, but we're on radio. All I can tell you is it doesn't smell so good round the awning at the moment. So there you go. It's not a nose run he's got, but Storm's quite interesting. He just seems to take things as they come, and he doesn't. He works well with the team. His mum leaves him to us. I mean, he's 16 years old, for Christ's sake. He's 16 years old and doing what he's doing. And also, don't forget, he's got the disadvantage of the 6 foot blooming 3 or 4 that he is. He's here to have fun, is exactly what Storm's here to do. He believes in himself and he knows what he's got to do. And I think that it's going to be fun. There's, don't forget, at the moment, Mr. Richardson has got quite a healthy lead in the championship. If Mr. Richardson fails to finish, I think he needs to finish outside the top 12. If he finishes outside the top 12 and we win, then we can be champions. But there's Corey and Ewan and these guys that are all just points apart. And they're all young lads who were full of fight and know that when they finish in the top 3, they don't get a second shot at this title. It's the title they have to try and get it now because they have to move on if they finish in the top 3. So it's going to create fantastic racing. And
you said at the start that Storm would be moving up with yourselves next year on to 1,000 stock 1,000 bikes.
Yes.
Does that mean you'll be running 2 stock 1,000 bikes next year then?
At the moment, it's part and parcel of the old story of the clowns in Parliament. It is part of what we'd like to do, yes. We won't run a 600. The Storm's bike will be for sale immediately at the end of this meeting. Anybody wants it, and he will have his first ride before the end of the month.
Right. Well, I think that's all for me. Thank you. Good luck for the weekend.
Great. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, and I suppose it's just a nice way. Brent, to end, really. We don't want to take up too much of your time. We know that you've probably got Storm on his way to... with a few words, maybe.
No, Storm's working with Jeff and Gary and Mark.
Oh, okay.
They're making a plan. I've actually I'm leaving here. I'm going to meet a couple of sponsors that are coming down tomorrow to look round, and so I've got that to do. And then hopefully a glass of wine and B-buys ready for tomorrow.
Exactly, yeah. So
maybe get Storm some soup there.
Yeah. No, don't worry. Storm's not having a glass of wine. I'm having it. Yeah.
Some Imodium, I think, for Storm or whatever it is.
That's it.
Yeah, or a big Coke.
Something. Before we let you go, though, predictions for BSB, Brent. What do you reckon? Title, races?
Oh, well, to be honest, I'm surprised that Scott has carried on going for it after he was announced into World Superbikes, because he doesn't need to go for it. So therefore he wants to go for it. His teammate Brooksy, all right, he's Australian, but Brooksy's work ethic and chipping away and never giving up, you could, it's going to be a three-way fight, and it's going to be other people that spoil it. But I suppose it's really difficult to choose between the two Birdie ones and Wilf's team, and in a way, And the truth is, in a way, I would love Wilf's team to win it, because Wilf's, like me, he's supported the championship for a long time, and that's more to Rapido Ducati, by the way, and Tommy. Yeah. I would love them to win it, because they've been round like me at the back end of the field, the middle field, blah blah blah. They've got that wonderful, impossible mathematical success story going. So I'd love them to do it. If I'm going to pick one, I'm going to say Brooksy. Okay.
Fair enough, and maybe there's a way for everyone to be happy, unlike Brexit. For someone wins maybe Scott wins the championship, and Moto Rapido, or as you call them anyway, Brent, can win at least maybe a couple of races this weekend and keep everyone.
Well, I know it is Will's team. Moto Rapido is his shop. Obviously, it's their title sponsor is Oxford Products, and Oxford Products have come along this year and done a great job together as a team. And you know, Birdie's had 4 fantastic years with Weiser, who are leaving. So there's all sorts of reasons for all of them to have a great weekend. And yes, I think the weather is going to affect what everybody might have in the heads as a decided outcome, because Brands Hatch is Brands Hatch. Tommy is the man in horrible conditions. Brooksy is. And Scott, if he wants this title, is going to have to hang his balls out. That's all there is to it.
Interesting one, yeah, and I'll have to congratulate you again, Brent, for successfully managing to have a full-on conversation about Brexit, something that I've tried desperately to avoid on this show, especially since when Kiko was involved. And anyway, so well done on shoehorning that one in. But
don't worry, it's not something I want to talk about at all.
Nobody does. Well, some people do. Anyway, Anyway, I'll just congratulate you for the weekend. I'm sure I'll bump into you at Brands at some point. Good luck for the weekend and for 2020. Brent Gladwyn.
Thank you, guys, and look forward to it, and thank you to all the fans that are going to turn out this terrible weekend.
Indeed. It should be definitely one to watch, and we will tell you exactly where you can watch it and on what channel, because there's been a little bit of confusion, but we will endeavour to dig out the old telly schedules and let you know whether it's on Freeview, satellite, online, or wherever. And I say that because I actually don't know right now, but we will get to the bottom of it. It is the Superbike Show. It is Motorsport Radio. Hello and welcome. My name is Lester, and we will continue next.
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
I'm Ryan Vickers.
Hi, I'm Ben Curry.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Ray from the Kawasaki Racing Team, and you're listening to Motorsport Radio.
Yes, definitely. It's live online on social medias, Facebooks, Twitters. Where else are we streaming right now? Twitch. Something called D Live. Never heard about. We're on D Live. Hello, D Live. Nobody tunes in on that. What was the other one? Twitch. Yeah, we're on Twitch as well.
Yeah, you said Twitch.
Yeah, did I? Oh, okay. And on, I think we're on Twitter as well, Tim. Of course, you're all over the place on the old social medias, keeping everybody updated and, keeping everybody integrated into the various championships that you follow. Just officially, how many is it that you actually do keep try and keep track of? Because it's all the BSB stuff and Will Superbikes as well. Plus, you also try and follow touring cars as well and keep your eye on that as well. You do almost as many championships as our Connor.
Jack of all trade, master of none, I'm sure plenty would say.
Not me, definitely. You're definitely going to be, and we're trusting you too. And actually, Tim actually did a really good article for those who are remember or are interested in the four-wheeled motorsport. And remember the Touring Car World Cup of 93, 94, or was it 95 as well, when they came to Donington. Anyway, we've got some videos on that. Tim did a great article looking back at it. And more of the same, please, Tim.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
As for you, Liam, well, enough of the old antics with the old superbikes, mini bikes. Wouldn't really call that a superbike, but mini moto. What is it? Is that definitely a blatter? I'm learning all these words.
Yes, it was a blatter. That was Bernie Hook, the senior mini moto champion of 2019. His wet bike, his
it does look pretty wet, to be honest.
It was pretty horrible, I must admit. I was looking forward to riding his dry bike, but it started sort of sprinkling.
You weren't good enough for the championship bike, I'm afraid, Liam. Sorry to tell you. He's like, yeah, mate, have this old thing we found in the cupboard. Here, have this.
He wanted me to go on the dry bike. I wanted to go on it. So none of that. So,
yeah, it's unfortunate that. Yeah, but anyway,
his dry bike's a Tivo, so it's built by Andy Whedon, who's also a regular of the championships. So, yeah. It was awesome, and it's definitely different from the Pellinis I used to race when I was riding. Just a bit, yeah. Things have come on a lot more since I used to race them.
Yeah, you went out in for those who are just joining us. Liam Hodgins went out in a session with alongside some children, and he didn't gate crash a child's mini bike race. He was just in free practice because he had work to do on the Saturday, Sunday, and we didn't let him race as much as he desperately wanted to race. And he was basically begging me, could he go out and do a Saturday morning no. So just this bit of footage is all you have, Liam, to maybe rekindle a lost flame of competition that you once had. I don't know. Did you ever race him?
No, I did a very limited amount of go-karting some years ago, but that was about it. Never on the bikes, I'm afraid.
Oh, well, never mind. I never raced anything proper, really.
We know that. Kidding on Leicester.
Although, when I did try and race, I did successfully beat everybody that I did race, albeit it was just informally. You know the sort of people who just sort of bring their helmets to events where you're just having a mess about, and you know they're really taking it really seriously. And then this is on go-karts, and then you go and destroy them. Anyway, I'm mentioning no names, former commentator Alex Raby, Kiko Giles.
Yeah, I mean, you never even gave me the opportunity of beating you this year, so or trying to beat me, so you don't have that glory just yet.
Anyway, there's always time. Anyway, that aside, we will get back to talking about the actual proper racing, because this is Superbike Show, and I must say a big hello to Dave Tyson, who's tuned in as well this evening, or he was anyway. He's probably got sick of us now. Hello, good evening, Dave, and to Darren Edwards, and to Will Kearney as well. I'm looking right over there, by the way, because the monitor's quite far. I've got a different setup in the studio tonight, and my old eyes. Ask no more questions. Will Kearney tuned in, and also to Kim Hollings as well, one of the Motorsport Award-winning camera operators who's worked on the various mini bike races that we filmed this year. Talking about the Motorsport Awards. Maybe I won't. Okay.
Great introduction there, Lester.
Talking about the Motorsport Awards. The nominations phase for the awards is open at the moment. So, which means, it's basically in two parts. The nominations phase comes first, and then we calculate who got what and how many. Basically, we whittle down some of the nominations to either 5 or 10 in each category, and then we publish the final list that you can vote on to win an award, and that final list comes out in November. There's already been lots and lots of nominations. I can't go into any details, privacy reasons, but check them out. We'll give you more information on what categories you can nominate for and what categories you can vote for later in the show. Something about MotoGP next. Don't know. Is that still a thing? Because I've been all BSB, baby.
Well, yeah, you have been. Before we move on to MotoGP, you did mention the TV schedules, and I've just had a quick look. Yeah, so so basically on our website, and it's explaining how where to watch this weekend. Saturday from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. British Eurosport 2 is where the coverage of the qualifying will be held for Brands Hatch. And then at 3:30 p.m. to 6 p.m, it'll be the first of the 3 races for British Superbikes. So that will be in Eurosport 2 as well. On Sunday, from 12:30 to 5:15, it'll be all the races from BSB races 2 and 3, with all the sort of in-between stuff as well, all the support categories. And there's also a channel that I don't watch Freeview or anything like that, but a channel called DMAX. I don't know if that's a Freeview channel or...
Yeah,
so that's 12:30 to 5:15 as well.
It really confused me when somebody mentioned that on the BSB fans Facebook group, because somebody said something that DMAX or BSB is on DMAX, and you probably won't know this, but DMAX used to be a karting championship, somewhat clubby, very, very clubby karting, sort of nationwide arrive and drive type karting championship. It was called the Daytona DMAX Championship. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? DMAX? What DMAX? But yeah, basically it's just another satellite thing. I don't think it's Freeview, is it?
Oh, I'm not sure. I can't tell you. It doesn't really explain it when you click on it, but I thought it was some sort of cinema thing. I thought, all right, we gotta go to cinema to watch some British Superbikes.
The best way to watch it, BSB, as I know we've had a little bit of a turbulent time, me and the Eurosport player, over the season, but it probably is going to be the best, most reliable, well, saying that, but overall, generally speaking, the most reliable way to watch the BSB feed as well, not just the full program, but you get to watch the world feed as well. So if you're not too keen on all the old pundits jibber jabbering in between races, then get yourself a copy of the old stream, and it's really good as well for the races that the main Eurosport show don't show live. So some of the support races as well, that'll all be on the feed. But I'm sure, Tim, you already know all of that because you're well up on all of the old stuff. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, anyway, so moving on then, because Liam does actually have some actual news regarding MotoGP.
Yeah, so coming into this week, it was announced for 2020 that Takaki Nakagami, no surprise, was going to be remaining with the LCR team for next year, probably riding a 2019 Honda. He was holding off for a 2020 Honda, but yeah, we believe that's probably just going to be a 2019 Honda. He will be racing next year. But the big news is that he will be missing the final 3 rounds of the season due to an injury that he picked up with the crash with Valentino Rossi at Assen earlier on this season. So it's basically the same surgery that Marc Marquez will be going through. He went through at the start of, the end of last season. So, yeah, Nakagami has basically just sort of over-rotated the arm and he needs to get surgery on it. But this has now opened the door, and it was confirmed yesterday or the day before that Johan Zarco will be riding the LCR Honda for the remaining 3 races, which will be after Motegi this weekend. So Nakagami will be racing this weekend at Motegi, but from Phillip Island, Sepang and Valencia, it'll be Johan Zarco. Now, it's kind of upset Yamaha because it looked like there was a deal about to be signed between Zarco and Yamaha for Zarco to become a test rider next year, but he really wants to race. Now, they've re-signed...
as a rider, why would you want hold on for that great test ride opportunity? Said nobody.
Well, yeah, but Zarco really had nowhere else to go because, he decided to leave KTM at the end of the year. KTM sort of dumped him before the end of the year, so he really had nothing else lined up unless he went down to Moto2, which he probably doesn't want to do because he's already a 210 champion there. So maybe testing a Yamaha would have worked well because at least he'd be integrated in the factory again. And then if a door were to open up, if a certain person retires, then he would be primed to maybe not jump in the factory Yamaha, but to go into the Petronas Yamaha for 2021. But now it looks like...
You're talking about Lenny Lorenzo?
No, I wasn't talking about Lorenzo, but I'm just getting on to that bit. Okay, fair enough. It's started speculation, or it's speculation.
Rossi.
Yeah, there we go. We got there eventually. Yeah,
I forgot he's getting towards that age, isn't he? So
yeah, he's getting on a wee bit now, is Rossi. But he's still a young lad, I guess, in many ways. Yeah. But
50s now.
Yeah, where was I?
I sidetracked you with that.
Yeah, so Honda could be sort of evaluating Zarco against Lorenzo. Now, obviously, that's going to be a big speculation to what's happened to Lorenzo this year and how he's been trounced by Marquez, and of course his injury. But apparently Honda told Zarco that they won't be evaluating him for this year. Of course they'll say that to Zarco to make sure there's not got any pressure on him, and maybe Zarco's just telling the media that to just sort of all the attention away from that. But you've got to look at it this way. It will definitely be a thought in Honda's mind. So apparently LCR, Goku Cecchinello, approached Honda about this because they thought maybe having Stefan Bradl will be good for the last 3 races, but he's got commitments developing the 2020 bike, so there was no point putting him on it. So Zarco was free, so they've gone and picked up Zarco, and there's no denying that if Zarco outperforms Lorenzo and gets top 10s, is maybe racing with Cal Crutchlow, that Honda will have to look at the possibility of putting Johan Zarco on Lorenzo's bike, because Lorenzo, he's been talking recently about how he physically is 100%. He's still got bits of pain, but it's the bike that he's struggling to get his head around.
Nah, he's knackered now. He's basically just retire. Basically, just get it over and done with. Just take him out and do what needs to be done. Put him out of his misery.
He's talking about being scared of riding the bike. Then, as soon as you start talking like that, it's basically a downward hill in your career. So it's hard to tell, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Zarco can do. But the thing is, he's a very smooth rider. He likes the bike to be particular to his riding style, and he likes to know what it's going to do. The thing with the Honda, this is very much like the KTM. So he could struggle with it. He could take to it like a duck to water. It's just hard to tell with Johan Zarco because when his head's in it, he's outstanding, one of the toughest people to beat. When head's not in it, then it's a bit tough. So
that's really what this is. Yeah, that's kind of what really all this is about, though, isn't it? Honda are really just looking for a replacement for Lorenzo, and they kind of need one pretty sharpish, don't they? But is Zarco the right man to do it? He's already been fired once for being a bit.
Yeah, well, he's the only rider available. Who else could you look at? There's no chance Danny Pedrosa. There's no chance Danny Pedrosa is going to come back.
He's not the only person available who could do it, but
no, but everyone else is tied up to a contract for 2020. They could bring Bradl in, but Bradl has shown that he can get top 10s on the bike, but he's not going to do what Zarco does. He's not going to do what Lorenzo could do if Lorenzo was doing what Lorenzo was done on Yamaha and Ducati when he was actually competitive on Ducati. So it's Zarco or bust or stick with Lorenzo for next year. And if Lorenzo ends the season,
what about Cal?
Riding the whole. Well, Cal's happy at being at LCR.
Yeah, he might be even happier being in the main Honda team.
He doesn't want to. He's been offered it before, but he's contracted to HRC, and he doesn't. The thing he likes is he doesn't have to do all the PR stuff that Lorenzo and Marquez have to do. So he gets more of his own time, which he's happy with doing. And yeah,
but if he's got a chance on a race-winning bike, though, are you telling me that any competitor, any sports person,
he is on a race-winning bike.
He could be on more of a race-winning. He could be in more of a race-winning situation potentially.
The only difference is that the factory Honda team have more technicians, have more engineers that could potentially find a problem quicker than what he's got in LCR. But he loves the family LCR. It's more of a family feeling, and he feels more integral in that team. If he were to go to the factory team, he probably wouldn't feel like that. He'd get exactly the same parts as he's already getting. Okay, possibly around earlier than what he usually gets. A bit more help when it comes to finding issues, but that's mainly it. And maybe a bit more money. But he's already signed to a HRC contract, so it wouldn't be a massive difference. And yeah, it's just basically moving him from LCR to Honda, and he'd probably be doing exactly the same. Maybe even worse, because he just wouldn't be feeling at home as much within the HRC or within the factory team. So
it's just as I
say,
say,
Lorenzo or Zarco.
as I was just saying, Zarco isn't necessarily the only possible candidate who could do it. There are other people, and maybe just as the last throw of his career dice, he could, before... I mean, I don't know how many years he's got in him in MotoGP, Cal, but I know a lot of other people would like to see him win more races. At maybe, yes, the cost of his own happiness. Why not? Let's say that. But it's just a possibility. It's a possibility.
Absolutely. It's an interesting one with Cal because he's still going through the injury process that he went through when he crashed out at Phillip Island last year, and that's starting to really affect him. So he's been talking about next year being his last year, and because he's raising a young family now, and it'll be a shame to see him go, but hey, Cal's done a lot for MotoGP. He's done a lot for himself. He's done a lot for the British public having an eye on the MotoGP as well, because of him being... He led the championship last year at one point after Argentina, and he's won races.
Very briefly,
and but at least he can turn around and say, hey, I've led the MotoGP championship at one point. Hey, not many people could say that. That's pretty cool to say. Wow. Potentially the only other person that could jump up to the factory team, I know it's a very big if, and he's under contract. You might know where I'm going to go with this. Is Alex Marquez if he wins Moto2's championship.
More chance of Scott Redding. No offence,
I don't know about
Marquez. Well,
well, then again, a lot of people that are inside the inner Marquez circle are quite integrated into the Repsol team.
He is kind of good friends with Marquez, isn't he? So the social media makes out anyway.
So it's a very interesting one to watch in the last 3 races. I know Honda and Zarco are going to tell us that it's not a test against Lorenzo. Lorenzo has been saying that. Oh yeah, it absolutely is. Lorenzo's saying that he's got a few things he's going to be testing, or he's got a few ideas. He didn't specify what they were coming to this round, but
I'm going to go fast and make the other guy look stupid. Is that his idea? Is that his grand plan?
I guess so. Yeah. Or maybe just finish within 45 seconds of his teammate.
Yeah, I think that's achievable.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. Ever since his comeback, he's not finished higher than 14th, and the last round he finished 54 seconds back, which is not great, and in 20th. So, we're going to have to watch this space, basically.
Okay. I was just saying that sort of time gap is worse than what the session that you had on that senior mini moto, wasn't it? That was you finished 10 seconds behind.
Yeah, well, so. I mean, maybe stick me on the Repsol Honda, see how I can do.
Maybe we can put a Repsol Honda sticker on that mini moto, perhaps. So maybe, I don't know, that might suffice.
That'll do.
Yeah, that'll do.
That'll do.
It is 2 seconds of fame. I'm surprised nobody's done that in Cool Fab, actually. It had a proper since it is on the road to MotoGP. And
I've seen at Wilton Mill, we spoke to Blake Wilson, and he had a 50, and it was in the colours of Repsol Honda. So we might see him riding that next year in those colours. So that'd be quite cool. But I would like to hear Tim's take on the situation between Zarco and Honda.
Yes, we will get Tim back into the show momentarily. I say that because I just muted him, and I can't now unmute him for some technical reason, which only Skype knows about for some reason. But yeah, we'll probably get his thoughts back on MotoGP. But he has just nipped off to do some family stuff. But carrying on with the old MotoGP news, or MotoGP news, as some people call it.
Yes. Going into this weekend, Dovizioso is feeling very confident about his chances of winning, because it's a very stop-start circuit at Motegi, and it means that there's less time for him and the Ducati to be spent leaning over or turning the bike, which we know is still the big issue. Mid-corner turning on the Ducati is where it struggles, because it's sort of understeers, and it's been the age-old problem with Ducati for, nearly a decade now, which Rossi, Stoner, Lorenzo, everyone, Melandri as well, have been struggling with over the years. So, with the stop-start nature of Motegi, it's going to be a very strong weekend for Ducati, and Dovizioso, we could see him taking victory just like he did in 2017. If it's another last lap showdown between himself and Marc Marquez, hey, get your popcorn ready and your ticket spot for that fight, because that'll be absolute epic once again. So that'll be looking good.
What do you think is going to happen, though?
It's going to be a Marquez affair, I think, this weekend, because he's got the pressure off. I mean, never really has the pressure on him, does he? So Marquez, I think, will take the victory. But then again, when I predict a Marquez, when he crashes or something happens to him, if I just predict anyone's going to win, that tends to happen. So, yeah. I think Dovizioso will push him like he did in 2017, and of course last year, until he fell off with a lap and a half remaining. So, but I think Marquez will prevail come the race end. But talking about his teammate, there's a milestone for Jorge Lorenzo. It'll be his 200th Premier Class start, and he's going to be the youngest in history. So that's a very cool stat for Jorge Lorenzo. Earlier on, I was trying to look up the other riders that had started 200 Premier Class races, but I completely forgot about it, so I didn't end up looking it up. But yeah, Jorge Lorenzo, maybe it'll be a great turning point if it's his 200th race, and you never know, maybe it could be a turning point for him. He sees a milestone, so he goes, you know what, might click it into gear, and maybe him and Honda will click once again. Well, not once again.
Are you secretly
eventually
hoping that Lorenzo will do something interesting and noteworthy and won't be a complete failure?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think we all do, because whether you like Lorenzo or not, he's an incredible competitor. And
was,
of course. So seeing him floundering around at the back is sad, and it really shouldn't be something that a champion of his caliber is doing. So it'd be good to see him back up again near the front, and going for victories, going for podiums, because if he can do that, then hey, we could be well in for, and maybe a Marc Marquez, Jorge Lorenzo face off in Repsol Honda, which we were hoping at the start of 2019, but we obviously know that didn't happen. So
if he wasn't to have been injured, let's just imagine for a second, total fantasy world, but if he didn't pick up that injury at the start or before the season, do you think he would? I mean, obviously he wouldn't be right back at the back of the pack, we think, probably, but do you think he would have Marquez would have been challenged a bit more, or at all, if at all?
It's a very tough question to ask, and
that's why I asked it.
I mean, I know. You always ask the tough questions, don't you, Lester? But you've got to look at it from the point of view, before his injury at Assen, he was starting to show signs of being competitive, from showing improvement on the bike. You've got to remember the first few laps at Catalonia, he worked his way up to third place before he unfortunately took out half the field behind Marc Marquez. And if you look at that, then you know that the potential's there, and it's not just down to the bike. You've got to feel that crash at Assen, which was a big crash indeed, and it was a big injury, has had an effect on him mentally. And I could be wrong, but I ultimately believe that is the thing that's holding him back the most, not the bike, but himself.
So his mentality, which translates roughly into, no, he wouldn't. He probably wouldn't. Marquez is. I would say, if it was all about just a straight fight, and everything was equal, Marquez would have the edge on him mentally, and that's why Marquez would probably have crushed him into the ground, which he definitely demonstrated this year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Marc Marquez is mentally one of the strongest riders in the field, probably one of the mentally strongest sports competitors in the world. As soon as something goes against him, he turns that negativity into a positive, as we know with Rossi's fans booing him. So he basically just turns that and makes him stronger. So yeah, he would win. It's quite interesting you mentioned that he had crushed everyone. He has done, not just the competition, but everyone else on a Honda. And it's Crutchlow and Lorenzo have basically sided on the opinion that they would have preferred to have ridden the 2018 bike this year, because well, it was easier to ride. But Marc Marquez says, I don't care what bike I'm riding. I prefer the 2019 bike. It might be more difficult to handle, but it's faster. It's about 2-3 tenths on average quicker than the old bike. So it's sort of going with the opinion that Marc Marquez or Honda, having built the bike around Marquez, have obviously taken on board what Crutchlow's been doing over the few years, and taken on board what Lorenzo's wanted to do with it. But it's Marc Marquez that's gotten the best out of the bike, and it's a bike that suits him the most. So in a team, you start gravitating more towards the rider that is doing the best, and obviously Honda would have done that, would have gravitated more towards what Marquez wants from the bike than what Pedrosa would have wanted in years gone by, what Crutchlow would have wanted, and what Lorenzo might want from now, because obviously they're a lot further back. In Lorenzo's case, he's, well, nearly a few hundred points behind his teammate.
Ah. Anyway, so does that pretty much wrap up all of the... I know we could go into like loads of other bits of detail and stuff, but the main MotoGP points for now, before we move on to other things, have we pretty much gone over everything, or is there anything else left to mention? To be honest, usually when we do these shows, news breaks on the Thursday and we don't find out about it until after we've gone off air. Like, I don't know, Rossi just retired and we'd just gone off air and they'd be like, crap, could have mentioned that.
Yeah. Well, good thing is they're in Japan at the moment, so I think they're all asleep right now. So I have a fairly good feeling that nothing's going to break at the time being, unless someone just gets up and goes, I got an idea, I might just announce something at like 3 o'clock in the morning over. Yeah, you're right. So we'll have to see, but fingers crossed they don't. A couple of other tiny bits of news is that, well, this is just fighting talk from Alex Rins that he's targeting Dovizioso for second in the championship, which is obviously what you're going to do if you still have a mathematical chance at it. And Sylvain Gintoli will be riding this weekend as a wild card for Suzuki, so he'll be back in action, and it's good to see the number 50 back. And yeah, he'll be getting in some important testing data for obviously the 2020 Suzuki. So we're going to be seeing lots of Sylvain Gintoli riding this weekend at the Japanese circuit.
Okay. Right, it is the Superbike Show. My name is Lester, and Liam Hodgins is here, and we did have Tim Davis, but he's nipped off for a while, so he's unfortunately slipped away. He was making his debut on the show, and well, I have to say, good sport for even making your debut, because I only invited him on with an hour to go. So super last minute, and considering he's got to be up early in the morning, it's probably best he nips off to bed. But we will continue for now, at least, because we have got some other stuff to talk about.
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
I'm Ryan Vickers.
Hi, I'm Ben Curry.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Ray from the Kawasaki Racing Team, and you're listening to Motorsport Radio.
Hi, Jonathan! Yes, it is loads of World Superbike action and stuff. To be honest, since he won the thing, I've sort of been like, I didn't even see the last round of World Superbikes, but there was a couple of bits of big news, unexpected for some recently, but Haslam and what's going on with him and what's been announced recently, Liam?
Well, it's been announced that Haslam won't be remaining in the Factory Kawasaki squad because his good mate and probably brother from another mother, Alex Lowe's, is going to be replacing him in the squad alongside Jonathan Ray for next season. So, yeah, it's great to see Alex Lowe's get his chance with the Kawasaki squad after he was, ousted from Yamaha to make way for Toprak Razgatioglu for 2020. So he's now found his way into the Kawasaki squad. It'll be interesting to see how he goes up against Jonathan Ray, but unfortunately that means that Leon Haslam is now out of a ride at the moment in World Superbikes. He's made it no secret that he wants to stay in the series. Why not? Get to race around the world on some of those beautiful racetracks. Let's talk Kawasaki want to keep him within the family. Let's talk of him going to the Pichetti team for next season. So that could be a possibility. It could possibly go to Tenkate. There's been talks there. There's also been talks of Leon Camier moving there, or Loris Baz remaining in that squad. So there's lots of riders in contention for that seat. When it comes to British Superbikes, he could make his way back there. I know, Lester, you've been chiming very heavily on him returning to British Superbikes.
I might have mentioned
won the championship in 2018.
And said you last time we were on the show. It's a possibility. Nothing's agreed or signed. I think, to be honest, if he has the possibility of getting a ride and remaining in World Superbikes, I think he will definitely take it. If all those avenues are closed for various reasons, then he could possibly. I do think this is an opportunity for him, something that he'll probably end up doing anyway, maybe in the long run, something for 2021 perhaps, is maybe owning a BSB team or co-owning a BSB team.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see, aren't we?
We will.
We
will have to wait and see if he co-owns Bournemouth Kawasaki.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say it. I'm glad you did.
Well, I said it on the last show, which everyone's forgotten about. But it just
so you did, yes.
If I'm Leon Haslam and I can no longer get a satisfactory ride in World Superbikes, do I want to be struggling around midfield at the back of the pack? Maybe and be like, well, what's the point? I can just go to BSB, beloved, co-own potentially my own team, or even own it. And we know of one current championship team, the current champions of Bournemouth Kawasaki, which is the Quattro Plant JG Speedfit. I forget the full title of it. Sorry.
There's a lot of wordsmithery in there.
Exactly, but Pete Exton's team and the Extons family that have done such an amazing job over the past few years in sort of building that team to what it is now. They've had a terrible year of it for various reasons that we all know of, and recently Pete Exton's announced that he'd be withdrawing as the official Kawasaki team for 2020, and possibly he's not made up his mind yet. I don't know. Maybe we should ask him, get him on the show, maybe, and find out exactly what plans. Maybe even plans might be finalised this weekend at Brent. Who knows? As to what he'd do. Maybe he'll stay in BSB as a independent. But if you're already sort of stepping back, then why would you volunteer yourself to just be like, I'll be, so that's why I think maybe potentially Leon Haslam could come in and say, well, okay, you show me the ropes and I'll sort of invest in the team. It's what I'd do if I was Leon Haslam, but I'm obviously not. Just a theory.
Yes. It's a good theory. It's a good point you make there. It's hard to tell what he's going to do next year. Maybe even Leon Haslam doesn't know what he's going to be doing next year.
Maybe we should ask him.
Kawasaki. Yeah, well, I was trying to see if I could find his details today, but
give us a call, Leon,
for that. Leon. Maybe we have some common ground. Our names sound similar. Both got the same initials, LH. So maybe I can just approach it that way. So it's just friendly chat before I'm asking him the real question. If you'd like to come on the show, but I know that Kawasaki are very keen on keeping him within the family because. For their Suzuka 8-hour squad, which he's been doing for the last few seasons and been an integral part of their family. So they don't want to lose him from that. That's the same thing that Yamaha didn't want to lose Alex Lowes. Now they've gained Alex Lowes for Kawasaki. So will Kawasaki mind losing Haslam as much? Who knows? All speculation, really. Maybe he'll go to Yamaha. Well, obviously part of the Tenkate squad. And I personally think he'll stay in World Superbikes, not sure who with, but then again, could be completely wrong in that sense.
Okay, interesting. Just noticed, if you are just tuned in to the Superbike show on Motorsport Radio, hello and welcome. It's not your connection that's a little alright. Yes, it is Liam's camera and in his connection, which always produces some dodgy faces. But hey ho. Make a meme out of it. Go crazy. World Superbikes then.
I am a meme.
Meme machine. Yeah.
Meme. Yeah.
So any other bits of noteworthy news? I don't feel like we've covered everything that happened recently, but I have forgotten a lot recently.
You're absolutely right. We haven't covered everything. Now, we were at Tattershall in Lincolnshire covering Kofab at the weekend, and the race was in Argentina. No. Yeah, I just thought we should probably get out of there that we were there at the weekend. But yeah, for people like myself who tuned in just as the race started, you might have noticed that on the left-hand side, the banner, there was 6 people that were missing, and I thought at the time, it's like, whoa, that must have been a big first lap crash. Later on, I found out that it was, I'd go back to rewatch the race, that it was 6 riders that decided not to race in race number 1 in the weekend. The reason for that was it was a bit complicated in the run up to it, but the reason was that the circuit was, well, the promoters, the FIM told the promoters in the circuit to resurface the track before 2019.
And they didn't.
They done that. Oh. But it wasn't finished until about a week before they were due there. So instead of the FIM going out to inspect the track like a month beforehand, which they should do and which they normally do, is that they only inspected it the week before the race. Now, it was a tough decision by the FIM to either go ahead with it or tell people to go home. They obviously decided to go ahead with it. And Charlie Hiscott, who covers he's basically the one that knows the riders the most. He's the most integral part of what we have in the UK to what's happening in World Superbikes. And he posted on Twitter today sort of a report of what happened in his opinion from the weekend, and it's very interesting to read. If you, I'm just going to summarize it, but if you want the full thing, just go onto Twitter and read, search for Charlie Hiscott and read it yourself. But he's basically saying that the FIM wanted to go ahead with the weekend, which is absolutely fair enough. And since World Superbikes isn't sort of the flagship two-wheeled world motorsport, then it's you can't. Yeah, no, it's such a shame.
Wasn't the
90s. Yeah, it was probably. But nowadays, with the strength or the machine that is MotoGP, then World Superbikes kind of has to fall behind that, in line, basically, just behind MotoGP. But it's basically saying that the FIM didn't really push the promoters enough or kept a close eye enough on what was happening with the track over the past 12 months. So when they turned up, they realised that, yeah, it's not looking too great. And they had people out on track sweeping it up, sweeping like bits of dust, bits of just dirt and stuff onto the racing line, and they had leaf blowers blowing it all off onto the runoff areas, onto the grass. And what the riders were angry about is that they should have had cars out there running around on the racing line, off the racing line, on the runoff areas, trying to clean the track up. And they eventually did it, but they done it after Friday. They done it Friday night, which was after the practice sessions. So by that point, a lot of riders like Chaz Davies, Eugene Laverty, all banded together, and Marco Melandri as well, and decided that they weren't going to race if it was still like that. And then you might have seen there was a lot of hoo-ha, kerfuffle in the media with apparently lots of riders calling it Jonathan Ray, the world champion, for not sticking by his guns and going ahead and racing anyway, and not sticking by the riders that had an issue with it, because it's rider safety at the end of the day. And Jonathan Ray saying, well, I kind of didn't get to voice my opinion on it. I wanted to stay clear of it. I didn't want to really get involved in the whole thing. And he opened his motorhome, and there was lots of other riders outside it, and they were sort of telling them to stick by him. And it's just become a big mess. It's caused a divide between the riders, which really shouldn't happen. In this situation, all the riders should stick together and either race or don't race, or sort of get something done together, so that the racing can go ahead, but it's done safely. So basically, on Saturday, the track wasn't in good enough condition in many riders' eyes. The track was only finished a week before. The FIM didn't do enough to keep an eye on it. The track was cleaned after Friday, so it was a mess, really. It was just an utter mess, and it's something that they will learn from. Fingers crossed, touch wood, everything that they learned from this. Thankfully, there wasn't any big injuries, or there was no big fallout from it in terms of someone being badly injured, which is I think the only thing we could take away from it is being positive in the light of this. But it does definitely question the championship's credentials, what can go forward, what they can do, how much the FIA are really focusing on that championship. Because I think what people are saying is that if it was MotoGP, this definitely would not happen. No chance would they turn up on a Tuesday and realise, wait a minute, the track isn't finished. This is outrageous. MotoGP, they'd be checking on it about 6 months, 2 months, a month before. And if it's not ready, they'd probably just cancel the event. But since World Superbike is trying to bring in more people, bring in more fans, trying to get lots of revenue in it, then they still went ahead with it. So that's what I've gathered from what I've been reading over the past couple of days.
Hot potato, some might say. But let us know your thoughts, if you have any at all. If you even still care that World Superbikes is still kicking around. What's it doing? What's its point? Because it was all better back in the 90s, says other people. So are we done with World Superbikes now?
Yeah, that seems to be the biggest thing from it.
Final question. Go on. Yeah, no.
I was just going to quickly say that Philip Ertl, who obviously racing Moto2, Moto3 race winner, has signed to the Puchetti Kawasaki team in the Supersport class. So he'll be racing there in 2020.
Fantastic. Excellent. And Johnny Ray to win Sports Personality of the Year. Make it happen this time round. Indeed.
Yeah.
But that's no patch on the Motorsport Awards. The official Motorsport Awards, which is currently in its first of two different phases right now, with the nominations phase happening right now, whereby you can nominate somebody to win an award. But I hear you ask, Liam, what categories can you nominate in?
Got to tell us, Lester?
I will. Smooth. So yes, we have the nominations phase for the 2019 Motorsport Awards happening right now, and these are some of the nominations. Yeah, you get the idea. Basically. Making the category on the I'm messing this up already, aren't I? I'm not winning no awards, I'll tell you that for now. But yeah, anyway, so some of the categories that you can nominate for, obviously, one of them is the old Driver of the Year, if you care about drivers and such like. Then there's Rider of the Year. Who will it be? Last year, our current champion is Peter Hickman. Who might you nominate to win a Rider of the Year? It could literally be absolutely anybody. Interesting, no MotoGP riders have been nominated yet. That's interesting, because it could, as I said, literally be anybody. I mean, you, Liam, could be nominated for Rider. You're not, no. But it literally
please make that happen.
No. And we've got a nomination here from Mr. H. Hodgins here, and nominating... no, basically. But you can nominate yourself if you are a rider and you're listening to this. There's nothing against nominating yourself for a Motorsport Award. You might want to shout about it, because it looks a bit... anyway. But Team of the Year, who do we think it might be? Well, the final list of all the categories, the final voting list, will be released in November. But that's not all. You can also vote on Off-Road Award. That could be MX. Could be anything, really. Karting Awards, rather self-explanatory. Star of the Future on a bike. Well, we could be, maybe even Storm Stacey. We've spoke about him so far. He wouldn't. I don't think. Maybe he would qualify for Young Rider of the Year potential as well, because it's 16 years or younger, and Storm is, as Brent said earlier, 16. Interesting. Moment of the Year, Liam. No. Well, I suppose you can nominate your moment of the year, and I think I know what it is. I think we've already played a clip of it earlier.
Right, that one. No, I wouldn't not vote for that as a moment of the year.
Okay, well,
I've got another one.
Don't say what it is, because you are one of the official judges, as am I. So we don't want to show any bias and stuff. Marshall, official of the year, best race of the year, best championship, best race bike. Anyone have a clue as to if it's not Ducati, then who is it? Best club series, track day organiser of the year, championship or series. Best engineering, best TV production company, trade show, best engineering feat. Can't think what that might be, but best new technology, maybe best new race or road circuit. That could be a hot potato, as it wasn't even a race circuit last year. It was an oval track in Norfolk, which is nothing wrong with that, I suppose, but that's what it was. Insurance company of the year. No? Okay. But you can nominate somebody. Best trade show / exhibition as well. And maybe some of the most important ones for Motorsport Awards. Lifetime Achievement Award. Have anyone in mind for that one? Lifetime Commitment to Motorsport. Similar sort of thing. But it's probably just another opportunity to nominate someone as well. Spirit of the Sport. Has anybody particularly caught what you think has been the spirit of the sport? Maybe it's the young flag waver, the kid who I forgot the name of off the top of my head, but quite prominently featured on Eurosport and BSB coverage. I know who you're talking about. I can't remember. But him, I would say. Well, anyway, I don't want to, because I'm there. Yeah, I shouldn't be saying anything. But unsung hero of who do you think maybe is the unsung hero of 2019? Get in touch and have your say. Motorsportawards.com is the place to be. Check it out, and it will all be revealed. And all be revealed live on the final list anyway, live in November. I think it's the 5th of November, as to whether the top 10 shortlist, or top 5 in some categories, because we can't fill our top 10. Basically, find out who the top 10 would be, who the actual shortlist would be, and that would be your time to nominate the winner. And that will be there'll be a lot of social media on that, a lot of comments, and we encourage you to make positive comments as well. So motorsportawards.com, check it out, join up, because you can easily nominate lots more people if you join up. All your data is definitely protected. It doesn't get sold or shared anywhere else. Right, so moving on from the awards to someone who might win a Motorsport Award for maybe Rider of the Year, and maybe it might be Scott Redding, and maybe he might win the championship. It's BSB.
Maybe he will.
Yeah, BSB, and maybe BSB might win championship of the year. Who knows? Any strange thing could happen in the Motorsport Awards in its only second season. But yeah, moving on to BSB, we had a comment flood in earlier. I can't really see it. I shouldn't have moved that monitor right over the other side of the room. We had a comment flood in earlier from Darren Edwards. Hi, Darren. Thanks for still tuning in. He's asking, Liam.
Yes.
Who's taking Redding's seat then?
That's a good question.
Still no
Indeed.
idea. We have no clue.
Yeah,
Or do we?
Well, do we indeed? There's a few people that could possibly take it. The obvious one would be Leon Haslam. How dare I say that, even though I said that he was probably saying well as Superbikes. I still believe that, but that's the hot tip on everyone's tongue. Hey, you never know. If Johan Zarco can't get a ride in MotoGP or doesn't want to move to Moto2, he might come to BSB. Just speculation. I'm kidding on.
You don't know.
You never know.
You literally never know. I mean, that's how we've got legends such as, previous legends, maybe no names.
Oh yeah. Hey, could Shaky Byrne make a return?
No,
you never know.
No,
probably not.
Probably not.
Well, it could be like of Bradbury.
He's more likely to go to Tyco of anybody, I think.
You could be right there, but then again, you'd never know what could happen in a 11th-hour deal.
You never know.
That's our motto for this segment of the show. You never know.
Exactly. Which is just a roundabout way of saying we have no idea.
Yeah.
You never know.
This is one thing we've not thought about. BYs are pulling out at the end of the season.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, PBM might not be around next year. They might not. They might not stick around for next year.
He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, you're probably right. They probably will.
But you never know.
Again, you never know. But then again, they might want to move to World Superbikes. But you never know.
I think he'd do a really good job if he manages to regain some or most or all of the current level of sponsorship that he's enjoyed, that the team have had, and for them to then field a World Superbike team as well, even if it's just for like a round or two. But you never know. Any of these things can and do sometimes happen, often at the last minute.
There's one name we never mentioned, and we probably should. Leon Camier. He's not got a ride this year. For next year, he still has a ride this year. He doesn't have a ride for next year yet. He wants to stay in World Superbikes. Tenkati's an option. Pachetti's an option.
What do you think, though?
Me, I have no clue when it comes to Leon Camier. You never know. I think. Hey, it'd be great for the championship for him to come back to BSB. He won it in 2009 in dominant style on the airwaves Yamaha. Seen him back in British Superbikes, and he's roughly the same height as Scott Redding, so he fell into that Ducati like a glove. So we could see him back in BSB in 2020. But Lester, what's our motto today?
I don't know. I forgot. You never know.
You never know.
That's the one. My general stock phrase. You never know what could happen. The end,
and it may happen.
Yeah, and
but you never know.
Seriously, I mean, you just don't even know who might turn up at what event. There could be. I mean, keep your eyes peeled if you're going to Brands Hatch this weekend, because someone might be talking to someone else, i.e., a rider who you wouldn't think. And this is often how rumours get started and turn into the truth. And I've spotted many driver and rider movements just by noticing someone who looks a bit out of place because they're racing for another team talking to some guy from another team. And then in my journalistic mind, I think, wait a minute, why is he talking to him when he should be really over there doing the thing? And then it turns out the next season he's actually moved over there. So if you notice some stuff like that going on at Brands this weekend, if you happen to be there in the paddock, just keep your eyes open, because you might be seeing live stuff happening live. Yeah. So all eyes on the Paul Bird team, PBM this weekend, because any rider who goes in there or is seen talking to or just having a casual conversation, you might just dismiss it as, oh yeah, they're just mates, they're just chatting. Might not be, because you never know. Just saying.
Yeah, well, Lester, you're going to be there this weekend, so you've got to give us all the hot gossip. You see anything?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if you do see me...
we were supposed to keep that a secret.
You said it now anyway. But if you do see me, then you can come and say hello, or not, or whatever. Or just do what most people do and point and go, oh, it's him.
Or are you going to be someone that's walking into the PBM Ducati hospitality?
I'll have a go. I'll walk straight back out again when they tell me to get out. But yeah.
Oh well, that was that over in a blink of an eye, or was it?
I don't know. You never know.
Oh.
I've been in stranger places. That's all I'll say. Moving on.
Moving on swiftly from that.
Did you mention earlier, I can't honestly remember what you mentioned before we had Brent on the show, some of the support class news?
Yeah, mentioned it.
Mention it again, because you never know.
You really got to stop saying this. So there's a couple of classes that are still up for grabs this weekend, and starting off with the Dickie's British Junior Supersport Championship, I got it right that time, between Elliot Pinson and Cade Verwey, who are only 6 points between them. So Elliot Pinson on 278 points and Cade on 272. So a very, very close championship between those two in the Junior Super Sport Championship. Obviously, the Hill Performance Moto Star Championship, that's also up for grabs. Now, there's 3 riders that are in with a shout of this one. 30 points, covering, 29 points to be exact, covering these three. Brandon Pash on 231, Josh Watley on 208, and Asher Durham on 202. So that could go any way as well. And it's not just that championship, but the standard class on the Honda 250s is another one to keep an eye out on. We've got 3 riders in contention for this championship, 30 points covering these 3 riders. Scott Ogden on 257, Cameron Horseman on 245, and Franco Bourne on 227. So once again, that could go either way in the championship there. And there's the small matter of the Pirelli National Superstock 600 Championship between Shane Richardson and Corey McGreevy and Storm Stacey as well in that. Ewan Mick Glinchy in that one as well. And, Ben Luxton as well. So there's, 26 points covering the top 5 in the championship. So that's a very close championship indeed going into the final round of 2019.
Well, talking about close championships coming into the final round and talking about BSB, we, as I don't know if we mentioned, but we last week were covering the final round of the Cool Fab Racing British Minibikes Championship live from Tattershall, and that saw a few championships wrapped up. Most spectacularly in one case in a class called Mini GP 50s, it was that championship all season long, GP 50s and GP 70s, which is the considered the premier class of British mini bikes racing in this country, and it's the ones that are on the road to MotoGP. But in particular, the final race in Mini GP 50s on the Sunday, was it? Remembering that right?
Yeah, it was. It
was particularly interesting because on the previous, they had 3 races over the weekend, and I think they what was the point scenario coming in and out of each race generally? It was very, very close, and any one of 4 riders could have. I think 4 riders could have took the title coming into the weekend overall. But just briefly, if you can remember that far back, Liam, to last week, just sum up.
Yeah, so going into the weekend, there were 41 points covering all 4 championship contenders. Now in this class, these 4 were the only 4 that had won races. There were some other riders that had scored podiums throughout the season, but these were the standout 4 riders. So at the top of the standings was Harrison Crosby, and then it was Kyle Payne, then it was Ryan Hitchcock, and then it was Josh Bannister. As the weekend went on, Josh Bannister qualified in pole position and won the first 2 races. Ryan Hitchcock scored a couple of third places, but it was Kyle Payne and Harrison Crosby that were sort of stuck together in both races. They finished 4th and 5th in race 1, and Kyle Payne was 2 points behind Harrison Crosby going into that race, which meant going into race number 2 they were equal on points. And then in race number 2, Harrison Crosby did take 5th place, but there was a red flag, which meant it went back a lap, and Harrison Crosby was put back down to 6th. Kyle Payne finished 5th, which meant Kyle Payne led the championship by a point over Harrison Crosby going into the final race. Josh Bannister was 13 points. Just remember, he was 41 points behind going into the weekend, even though 13 points going into the final race of the weekend. And then Ryan Hitchcock had slipped from 3rd to 4th, but he was only 16 points behind going into the final race. So any one of 4 could have won the championship in race number 3, and it was just mind-blowing, outstanding. I'm talking about it right now that I've got hairs standing up on end.
Well, what happened in the final race? Anyway, we're going to play probably the second half of it, but just tell us generally, as I think we can follow our visual radio listeners, we can probably... So yeah, just explain them from here then. As it stands, we had the live championships standings live during the actual race, which was quite impressive. So at this point on, I don't know what lap we're on, but Crosby was leading by just 2 points from Payne, and they were right next to each other on track as well. So you take it up from here, Liam.
Yeah, so just before that, we had a bit of an incident where Carter Brown, who races in the 70s and the 50s, was having an outstanding weekend. Was up the front every single race, battling for the podium positions, but unfortunately was having a few incidents in these races. When he nipped up into 2nd, Bannister had Josh Bannister had gotten into the lead of the race and cleared off. So Carter Brown had moved up into second in front of Lucas Brown going into turn number 5. And as soon as he'd done that, he lost the rear end, like so many riders done throughout the day, and fell off right in front of our championship protagonists, apart from Josh Bannister. So he went down. Crosby slammed into the bike, but managed to stay on it. But Ryan Hitchcock was less fortunate.
And Ryan Hitchcock's down.
And then later on in the race, so
there was it was very, very tense at this point in time, because the guy who's sort of on screen, who the cameras were focused on, Harrison Crosby, much favoured to win, has to be said. Nothing against Kyle Payne, but all eyes kind of were on Crosby coming into this final race, and right behind him is the guy who could take the championship as I'm speaking right now, as we're watching the pictures. Kyle Payne, the guy with the black and sort of yellow stripe down his helmet, and he's basically whoever finishes in front of the other wins the championship. And nice point to just pick up the commentary with yourself and Chris McCarthy from here and just listen to the commentary. And this is one of the most dramatic races that you will ever listen or watch.
The inside there. Now, was that for the race lead? I think that was Crosby versus Brown, perhaps, as they make their way now down in towards turn number 7. Up towards turn number 8 we go. Bannister's well clear from this. This is actually the fight for second. So this is Harrison Crosby trying to get past Brown. There you can see the championship points, but they're about to change because Crosby has gone past Brown. So he's now got one bike between himself and Carl Payne. This is very
Crosby's
good
up to second place now, but
loves the move at turn 1 and gets back past. Payne was trying to get up the inside there, and he has done. Payne now gets back past, and he's going to be the champion. If the race finishes right now, Carl Payne is champion.
This is anyone's race. Crosby's trying to look back up the inside of Kyle Payne. I can't believe Crosby's still in the machine after up the inside in turn 5. Here comes Crosby. Crosby is up the inside, and can he make it out? Oh, he had a bit of a moment coming out of there. So nearly chucking himself out of this race and out of this championship lead. Whoever finishes ahead of the other will become champion between Crosby and Payne, or if they take each other out, Bannister will become champion. So Bannister is away and running in this race.
This is the last race of the season for these guys in this championship.
There's 5 laps remaining. Anything can happen in this race. I'm starting to lose my voice already. This race has been fantastic. So as they come across start finish line now, then we've got Brown ahead of Crosby. 5 laps remaining of this mini GP70 race number.
And the guy who's actually leading the race is 8 seconds down the road. He's gone, but we're watching the fight for second place.
Has he made it?
And the championship lead.
So we've got Harrison Crosby up the inside of Brown. Payne trying to go round the outside, running over the grass, and through turn number 5 to go to the treacherous corner. A bit of a moment there from Crosby once again.
Well, that's very crucial, that from Crosby, because that move has put a lot of distance between himself and Payne. So that is Harrison Crosby extending his championship lead, but that's crucial. Payne has now got back into third. But this is not helping his chances at all. Carl Payne, a lunge there from Brown, and it was a clean move as well. So Brown has just allowed Crosby to escape in second place. It's fantastic stuff. Crosby at the moment will be champion, and Payne is dropping back with every single corner. The gap between them
is looking like Crosby's sort of he's got a bit of a gap already from Payne now. Payne's got another bike in front of him. He's looking like Crosby's kind of getting this stuff wrapped up.
Crosby in second, then we have Brown in third place.
Just bear in mind, if one of them has an incident, drops further back than fourth, then Bannister was going to be champion.
And Bannister was leading the race at this point, but we were watching this fight for second and the championship.
Live championship update will come to you very shortly after that move has been made by Brown. Payne stuck in fourth place. Crosby running away with this championship. Live championship 409 for Crosby, 403 for Payne. Then it's Bannister on 402, Hitchcock 378.
Yeah, Payne nearly making a move up the inside of Lucas Brown into the final turn. He can see his championship slipping away now. He did come into this race 1 point ahead, but with Crosby in second.
It's the sort of drama, Liam, that you usually only get associated with football finales, don't you? Like the famous Man United European Cup final, the Champions League final from 20 years ago or something. I remember that.
I know nothing about football, but I'll take your word for it.
It's like a last. It was that sort of
try and stop anyone.
The same sort of last gasp feeling, and everybody was so nervous. Everyone was so exhausted after the race, and you'll find out why.
Number 7 hairpin from Kyle Payne.
Yeah, it was a bit like the British Superbike finale between Tommy Hill and John Hopkins in 2011 at Brands Hatch.
Essentially, try and catch Harrison Crosby with only 2 laps remaining, Chris.
Yep, 2 to go, and the gap for Payne to catch is, let's have a look as they come across.
Second place in the championship,
was a fever pitch by this point.
Yeah, second place in the championship, just got past the third. He just moved up into third place in the race, but he still remains second in the championship at the moment.
Then he will become the 2019 champion. But Crosby, who was 1 point behind coming into this race, at the moment this will be good enough for him to snatch the title back right at the death away from Carl Payne. It will be devastating for him.
Last lap next time round.
Circumstances, Harrison Crosby could be the champion if it stays as it is, but there's still going to be one more lap for Payne to try and close this gap. Bannister starts what will be the final lap of the season as he crosses the line now.
Josh Bannister has done enough this weekend to try and mount a championship challenge. It was a tough ask for the number 2 rider. 41 points. He started this weekend
last lap
behind Harrison Crosby in first. He's done all he can do. He's leading the final race of the weekend. He won races 1 and 2, and there's only half a lap remaining. Harrison Crosby nearly didn't get to the end of this race after Carter Brown fell off in front of him, and then Crosby smashed into the bike but stayed on. So he looks over his shoulder, sees that Kyle Payne is over a second behind. Crosby's down! No! Crosby's down! That's a championship gone for Crosby! Crosby only had half a lap to go, and he would be champion. That's left Kyle Payne. Kyle Payne sees the championship rival go down. He will now be champion. Then Bannister comes across the line, takes the checkered flag. Josh Bannister comes across the line in the final corner now. He done all he could. Josh Bannister will finish second in championship. Waves with delight.
So the race winner comes over the line.
But your champion of 2019, Kyle Payne, comes across the line and does it. Kyle Payne is the champion.
Second place over the line.
GP50s.
He's now champion, Kyle Payne.
Kyle Payne, what an absolute outstanding ride. An outstanding season from the youngster. Lucas Brown in third, Harrison and Crosby. Disaster for Crosby. He slaps his tank as he comes past us in the commentary box. He was in second. If he didn't crash out of that treacherous turn number 5, he would have been champion today, but he finishes in fourth. So Kyle Payne wraps up the championship in second position. Josh Bannister was your race winner.
I think they're lining up.
So Crosby is in tears. That's such a shame from Crosby. He put his heart and soul into that, and on the last lap he threw it all away coming out of turn number 5. But Josh Bannister takes the race win ahead of Kyle Payne and Lucas Brown with some burnouts in the background, Chris.
Well, this stage of the sport, it's all about learning for the future, and Harrison Crosby, he'll, I'm sure, look back on this. It won't be a happy memory for him, but it will probably teach him lessons that will win him an even bigger championship in the future.
I must have honestly, Liam, I must have watched this about 30 times this week alone, just because it was it's wow. Yeah,
it's so emotional as well, because you've got one rider that is so over the moon with the championship, and then another rider that is just distraught, broken, and it's just a part of our sport, isn't it? You're on the fine line at all times, and even though the Crosby only had half a lap remaining, he probably wasn't even pushing 100% at that point, and it was that corner. That corner was catching out everyone the whole weekend, the whole day. And in a split moment, it just went from just the best thing in your life to disaster.
And it was on the last lap as well of all times. It was the last couple of corners on the last lap on the last race of the season. Oh
yeah,
no wonder he was.
It's heartbreaking to watch.
Yeah,
I've shown so many people the race because I was just going. I can't believe. Not only did I get to witness such a momentous race, but I got to commentate on it as well. And I've shown so many people that, and I've just looked at them as it's happened, and their jaw has dropped. Friends that I have that aren't even fans of motorsport, and some that are, and you're just going, I just can't believe what I've witnessed. And even though Crosby didn't win it, he's got to hold his head high and just go, you know what, I put in 110% all season long. I have now nearly won a championship, but it's gone away from me. But I'll learn from this, and it's got people talking about me. That is the biggest thing. It's got people talking about Harrison Crosby, and it's got people talking about Kyle Payne as well, because Kyle Payne, he worked at it all season long. At the start of the season, he was slow to get started,
nibbling away.
Nibbled away, got podiums, and then at the final couple of races, he started winning races. He won the final race at Welton Mill, he won 2 races at Rowra, and he put himself perfectly in the championship position. And he put himself there, and he put pressure on Crosby. And him being there the whole race, the whole weekend, was just probably niggling at Crosby. That could have potentially what led to the eventual result. But the nicest thing was, after the race, we got some beautiful shots of Crosby with his family and Kyle Payne. It was complete opposite, just doing burnouts, and just couldn't believe his luck in the race. One of the most amazing things that I will ever see in motorsport.
It definitely was memorable, let's say. And these, let's put this into perspective. These guys, these kids, as they are really, will be going into things like the Moto Star. A lot of them will be graduating to the British Talent Cup next season, so you'll be seeing them on TV if they get shown on Eurosport. So these are the names, the next generation of BSB stars, MotoGP riders potentially, and it's a fantastic way to see the next generation, and also see riders' mentalities so early on, see them develop as riders and as professional athletes in many cases as well. But from that Mini GP 50 final, as you say, it was Kyle Payne who took the championship in rather spectacular fashion, because he just stayed on his bike and also did a fantastic job all season. And it was Josh Bannister, the race winner, who actually finished in second, although level on points, but he finished second in the championship by way of number of victories or something like that throughout the season. So it was Bannister who finished in second, level on points with Crosby, who ended up level on points, but in third place because he had fewer victories. And definitely check it out on the Cool Fab Racing social media accounts, on coolfabracing.com as well, and also check it out on the Cool Fab Racing YouTube. All the races from the weekend are on there to go back and check out. It's not just the kids' mini bikes as well that are in the Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bikes Championships. It's also big names like Mr. Brad Ray. He's been racing and winning quite a few races this year. Also British Talent Cup stars like Eddie O'Shea and Harvey Claridge as well, and also Max Cook as well. Interesting to see what and where he ends up riding and racing next year also. So already some big names coming through, and that's just this year as well. So that is the end of the season for Cool Fab, and hopefully we'll be back again next season covering it live, and who knows, maybe more action and drama as well. So a nice way to end the show, I think, Liam.
Yeah, it is indeed. Great championship in Cool Fab all season long. I've loved every moment of it, and as the season's gone on, you just get to know everyone, and it's been a pleasure to be part of it and get to know everyone that's it runs the series, the parents who give up so much of their time to make their kids' dreams a reality. And as you said, you touched upon it, and rightly so, these are some of the names you might not know of just yet, but keep an eye on them because they will become the stars of the future.
Definitely, yeah, definitely stars of the paddock as well, and also they occasionally feature some riders who actually tune into this show from time to time, including but not limited to Mr. J King, who sometimes tunes in and is. At the moment, we believe, and also people like Brandon Perrell, who I think is he was very delighted to wrap up third place in the Extreme 200 category. So much so, he finished third in the race on his final race at the end. His parents / fan club were there with his nickname is the Yellow Peril. He enjoyed some plenty of celebrations. Much to the bemusement of other people, thinking, well, he didn't win the race, what's going on? He didn't, but why not? I mean, if you bought the t-shirts anyway, then you might as well just go and celebrate and just enjoy life, because that's clearly what he was doing there with Jay King as well, who was the Pitbike 140 champion as well in Cool Fab. So congratulations, doing what he narrowly missed out on last year by becoming champion of Pitbike 140. Overall, great scenes, great weekend, Liam.
It was indeed, and we can't finish up by not mentioning our GP70 champion, Evan Belford. Imperious all season long and deserved champion, and he's going to be one of many exciting talents to be moving up to the British Talent Cup in 2020, along with, of course, Bill Stewart Campbell, who wrapped up second. Eddie O'Shea will be back next season. He was third in the many GP70s. James Cook, brother of Max Cook. And, of course, Harrison Crosby. He'll be moving up there as well, along with many others. So, yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. And, yeah, keep an eye on them.
Yeah, the Mini GP70 class winner, the premier class of the Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bike Championship, complete with he's already getting his marketing and styling right, because it was a brand new helmet, golden white helmet, I believe it looks like.
Oh, very nice helmet.
Evan Belford. Not seen it up close, but looks pretty good. And it was designed by Izzy Carter's father, whose name escapes me. Mr. Carter, I suppose. But yeah, some nice burnouts for the overall champion of Mini GP70, the headline act of Cool Fab Racing. And well, I'm very pleased to say, Liam, that these scenes were shared on the MotoGP website of all places. So not bad.
Yeah, they were indeed, which is a big testament to the hard work that's gone on all season long from the Cool Fab Racing series and yourself, Lester, as well. So,
me? What did I do?
Well, yeah, you produced the whole thing. So if it wasn't for you, then it wouldn't have happened. So it's been great that MotoGP has been recognising the championship, these young talents, and hey, who knows? Maybe one day we can see a few of them racing Marc Marquez.
Definitely. Why not? That's yeah, definitely, I would say. So from one. Which brings us nicely back to the end of the show and back to BSB, because a Cool Fab graduate, Mr. Scott Redding, will probably win the championship. But how exactly will he do it? Will he win a race? Will he just win by default? Or will one of the Oxford Racing win a race? Oh, what? Well, will they win one of the races? Was what I meant to say. I guess we'll have to find out on D-Max on Sunday, whatever that is. I'll find out what D-Max is first.
Yeah, or just go to Eurosport.
Or just go to the Eurosport player. That is it for the Superbike show for this evening. Thank you very much, Liam Hodgins, for joining us. And thank you as well for tuning in. Don't forget, this show is also available as an audio download. Some call them podcasts, but I call them audio downloads. So you can check them out. Just search The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio, whichever, and download the latest Superbike Show. No Superbike Show next week, unless we do one really early, because I'm off to Brands Hatch to go and help produce another event there that weekend. So, yeah...
I suppose we could organise it a bit earlier, maybe. I don't know. Whatever. But thank you for tuning in to this episode. Thank you as well to Mr. Brent Gladwyn as well, and to Tim Davis making his motorsport radio show debut, I suppose, yes. Check his scribblings and thoughts on the website, motorsport.radio, as well as other BSB support categories that you'll probably see him on the BSB Fans Support Facebook group as well. Hello to everyone tuned in. Right, that's it. I'm off. Thank you. Good night.
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
I'm Ryan Vickers. Hi, I'm Ben Curry.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Ray from the Kawasaki Racing Team, and you're listening to Motorsport Radio.